Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular March 12th meeting of the Webster Groves Board of Adjustment. In addition to the 5 members you see, we also have the acting city attorney, Peter Buntrager, and the planning director, John Wagner. We have 2 petitions tonight, and we will take each one separately. So the city will present its case, and then we'll ask the owner or his or her representative to make a presentation. The board can ask questions of the city or the presenter. After the presenter has finished their remarks, we'll ask for anyone who's in favor of the petition to speak, and then we'll ask for anyone who's in opposition or with concern. Then the board will, and that includes anyone who's online, the board will go into executive session and we will make a decision. And at that time, there's to be no additional comments from the petitioner or the public. And then we will move to the second one. It does take 4 of the 5 members voting yes to grant a variance, and anyone who speaks will be sworn in. I don't have my notes. Am I missing anything?
Turn you.
There's a power button. There's a power button over on the right. See what it says?
Right here. Right there, yeah.
And with that, I will ask the vice chair to call roll.
Deb Salzberg.
Here.
Jennifer Gates.
Here.
Randy Sprague.
Here.
Mel Wilson.
Here.
And I'm Tom Walson. I'm here.
We do have 5 members here tonight. Tom, would you please read the powers relative to variations?
Yes, the power is relative to variation. When by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property as of September 20th, 1956, or by reason of exceptional topographical condition or other extraordinary or exceptional situation or condition of a specific piece of property, which condition is not generally prevalent in the neighborhood, the strict application of the area regulations of this zoning code would result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties to or exceptional and undue hardship upon the owner of such property. The board is hereby empowered to authorize, upon an appeal relating to such property, a variation from such strict application so as to relieve such difficulties or hardships.
Thank you. Would you please read the first docket into the record, please?
Docket 2436, an application by Dominic and Michelle Martinez, property owners of 26 Summit Place. The property is located within the A4 7,500 square foot residence district. The applicant is requesting a variance from Municipal Code Section 53.073I1 to allow construction of a 9-foot retaining wall on the rear property line where city code limits such walls to no more than 6 feet in height.
Thank you. Mr. Buntrager?
I'd start by asking that we include in the record each of the exhibits that's been provided and will be discussed during testimony. And then we would ask Dr. Wagner to testify.
Mr. Wagner, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Can you please state your name for the record?
John Wagner, Director of Planning and Development.
And where are you the Director of Planning and Development?
City of Webster Groves.
Okay. What are your duties in that role?
I administer the zoning code, run the Plan Commission, Board of Adjustment.
Are you familiar with 26 Summit Place?
I am indeed.
Is that located in the city of Webster Groves?
Yes.
In which zoning district is it located?
The A4 residential, 7,500 square foot residence district.
Are you familiar with docket number 2436?
I am.
What is the applicant's request?
They are asking for a 9-foot retaining wall on their rear property line where retaining walls can't go any taller than 6 feet. And they are asking to do this in order to basically create a backyard.
Can you explain the existing conditions of the property?
Yes, the backyard is quite steep. And if I can come up to another thing on here, this is the yard. This is a Google Street View. This is the front of their house. And if I may, I'm going to take us on just a little journey here. Because the property backs up to a city park. I thought it'd be good to get a view from the park itself, at least as close as I can get anyway. Sorry if this is making anybody dizzy. It usually does me too. And we're almost there. A little bit more. So this is the back of their house here. That's the backyard there. And I went out to visit with Dominic and Michelle a couple nights ago, and I can vouch for the fact that the yard after just a couple feet really drops off. And there's some exhibits in part of the application. It's about 40 feet from the back of the house to the actual 6-foot fence that they have there now. And they would like to basically fill in 30 feet of that in order to create a backyard. And this would be the view from Kirkham Avenue, goes through the park. And I discussed this with the director of Parks and Recreation, and he had no concerns about there being at spots a 9-foot retaining wall. It's not all going to be 9 feet, but it'll be 9 feet over in this end over here.
Which code sections dictate the allowable height of a retaining wall?
53073 I1 rather.
And what height is allowable?
6 feet.
So what is the actual request?
They would like to build a 9-foot retaining wall.
So a variance
it'd be a variance of 3 feet.
of 3 feet.
Correct.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Wagner, I know that Barbary Park has had flood issues in the past, fairly significant flood issues like standing water for a long time. So the park department and you are of the opinion that this retaining wall will not aggravate that condition?
No, I don't believe so. And part of the plan review for the building permit will be to make sure that the stormwater is mitigated in itself and doesn't dump any of the water onto the park property. Might even improve things a little bit, actually.
Does anyone else have any questions for the planning director?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Do you know if there are other instances of retaining walls of this height in the neighborhood? I saw that it looked like the neighbor had a tall one for the pool.
I don't know of anything specifically. The property owner may have a better take on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I got a question just about water runoff from this piece of property. Would a wall create any different kind of circumstances to, the water's going to come downhill or creep downhill? Would having a 9-foot or concrete wall down there, would that?
No, I mean, they'll be able to build the wall such that it doesn't aggravate stormwater.
Be a factor, and
I don't believe so. No.
And it will be concrete, right?
it will be, yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to railroad tie?
Yes.
No railroad tie.
And I don't believe so. No.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Wagner?
No.
Who's here tonight in representing docket 2436?
Myself, Don Martinez, and my wife, Michelle Martinez.
Okay. So I prefer if you just came up one at a time to the podium.
That's up here.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And you are Mr. Martinez?
yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
So right now, our current conditions for the backyard really don't allow us to use the backyard. And when we initially bought the house, we purchased it when it was we toured it when it was in a blizzard. So we didn't quite see these conditions and how steep the hill was at the time. We absolutely love our house. We absolutely love our location. It's we really didn't see it being an issue until probably realizing that now with our 1-year-old, we'd love to have a yard that's usable for a toddler running around who has as much energy as a 1-year-old boy does. And really that's it. And so what it feels like, it just feels like kind of the missing piece to it's our first home that we bought together. We want to stay here for the long term. And so we're not doing this for any sort of financial investment. We're doing it more for just, making memories and really having our kids, and my wife's also pregnant with our second, having our kids being able to play outside. We're kind of the type that doesn't really want to get stuck inside with the iPhones and the iPads and all of that. So we want to have the flat yard to offer that to our kids as they grow up.
Could you articulate the hardship that you have?
Sure. So right now, the hill is probably steeper than a 45-degree angle. And so the hardship is really using it. So looking out at all the space, I can't go down and up without having to, essentially use, my whole body, and even mowing the lawn itself. It feels like you could probably do some damage if you didn't do a proper stretch before. So, really that. And then also fortunately we haven't run into this issue yet, but being that we do have a 1-year-old and starting to walk, we do not want him potentially hurting himself, falling down this, 30-foot hill or whatever it is.
Because then you'd go have to rescue him when he's pressed up against the fence.
I was going to say, luckily we have a fence that will stop him, but yes.
I bet it's fun sledding though.
Yeah, we tried it this year when we got the 10 inches, but didn't quite go too well.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Martinez?
Good.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to say something, Mr. Contractor or Mrs. Martinez? Okay, before you say anything.
Yep.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good.
Thank you very much. Okay.
My name is Joe Frankie. I'm the contractor for Dominic Michelle. So we try to keep it at the wall at a minimum. In the one corner, it's not over the 6-foot marker. It's just in that one left corner where it goes over the 6-foot marker. And instead of trying to recoup the whole backyard for them, they're really only getting a portion of it. I think enough where they can use it. And to answer your question, it's a SRT block. It's not just the retaining wall material. It's not railroad ties. It's not just a concrete foundation. It's a block. So
Oh, okay.
looks a little nicer.
And so there'll be a fence for safety on top of the retaining wall?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
So that's in addition to the maximum height of 9 feet of the retaining wall.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you proposing a 6-foot?
Yes,
fence?
I don't know if you have the pictures, starting on page, it's like 20. They have an existing 6-foot white vinyl fence currently that we'll be putting back behind the new retaining wall.
There it is.
So from the photographs, I would assume you re-slope that fence. Basically, you're changing the fence so that it flattens out a little sooner, but it's fundamentally the same idea. It just comes down a little further. When you
Correct.
change it.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And the fence is not an issue. The fence doesn't need a variance.
No.
No?
And I should note also, and I noticed, and Dominique verified it the other day when I was there is a tree in the backyard.
Mhm.
It's dead. So that's not going to hurt that any, so.
I have one question.
Sure.
I see that the elevation of the wall has a label for daylight perforated pipe through wall face. Can you talk, is that for the
Yeah,
stormwater
so
or the runoff?
behind any retaining wall, all these master plans for the block, you have to put 3 things behind the wall. You got to put fabric, geogrid, which is like a mesh that keeps the wall from tumbling
Right.
over,
Yeah.
and then drainage, and that just keeps the pressure off the wall from pushing it over time. So that's what that perforated pipe does.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, you can sit down. Mrs. Martinez, do you need to say anything? Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of docket 2436? Is there anyone online, John?
Nobody that has their hands raised.
Okay. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition or with concern regarding docket 2436? No one's raising their hand online.
Nope.
Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing and move to board session?
I so move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay. Could we have a motion regarding docket 2436 so we can start discussion?
I move approval of docket 2436.
Second.
Thank you.
Well, I'd start the discussion and saying what's already been said is I walked down the driveway and it definitely does go downhill very sharply. I don't see that there's much, family can get a lot of usage out of their backyard. So what they're doing seems to be logical. And if you wanted to put a child's play set or something out there, I don't think you could do it in their backyard. So I think the handicap is the topography, the slope, the sharp slope of the backyard. And once you leave that deck, you're going downhill pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
The next door neighbor has the same sort of idea, except theirs off of the property line. So their retaining wall doesn't go all the way back to the property line. So that could be, I'm not quite sure where the hardship is.
The building envelope, because
Because that, the precedence isn't there, is what I'm saying. The next door neighbor, didn't get the same variance. Regardless if they ask, I don't know. I don't know the history of that.
And I add some, I don't
Yeah.
know that the next door neighbor would have, I'm not certain, I should have asked Dominic this when he was up here. If the neighbor's yard is as steep as his, because he, even on this yard, even on his yard, it was going to get increasingly closer to 9 feet as he went further east, or towards this way on the screen. So I think it was less over here. So I think it was even less for his neighbor. Is that? He's nodding his head, yes.
I was thinking something similar, and I also noted that, I guess, two things: that it's not the whole wall that will be 9 feet, it's only a portion.
Mhm.
And while there is a lot of sort of topography in this like bowl that leads down to the park, it's all a little bit different, and this does seem pretty topographically unique.
Yeah, the neighbor's yard wasn't near as steep as theirs is. And yeah, this picture doesn't even quite do it justice. It was a steep hill.
Yeah, but we're not evaluating the neighbors. We're evaluating this
Correct.
piece of
Well,
property.
yeah,
Frankly, the neighbor's position is irrelevant.
I do
indeed.
too. Hard to vote.
no, we don't take any more comments after we
No.
close the public hearing. Thank you. Does anyone else? And to me, I mean, Barbary Park is pretty big, but there's not a lot, but the activity area is down by Kirkham and, because the planning director has testified that the parks director doesn't have concerns. We have a number of neighbors who've signed in favor of this. I'm just pointing that out to the board. Does anyone else want to?
I think I had one more thing I was looking at, but I need to flip again. Is this the only improvement to the backyard, or is there a patio addition or a pool addition as well?
I don't believe so, no.
Well, and that wouldn't be.
Yeah, which
a
you-
variance.
Which is not part of
require
the
variance,
variance, right? So
My question
you-
was if the usable flat space that exists now is being replaced with something else necessitating the need for flat.
No, there's an existing deck on the backyard.
But obviously.
Right there.
With a variance, they're allowed to do with their property as they wish. The only request here is for the,
I guess my question
The
is if it would be a convenience to create another lawn space, if you already had a lawn space that you're then choosing to replace something with. And when I looked on the plan, I just wasn't quite sure because it looks like there is a deck, but then there's something that's labeled as 15 feet wide
Oh,
right
yeah,
here that
right.
doesn't exist on the renderings.
They don't need a variance. They can do what they want to do.
No, go ahead.
So if the topography the wall would stay at 6 feet and not the 9 feet, does that mean that the usable lawn wouldn't be infilled with Steve? Like, what is the?
Correct.
Okay,
That's my understanding. If it was only 6 feet, it's coming back 31 feet out of the possible width of 41. It would be, well, I don't know. I didn't design the thing, but it would be considerably further back here, which I would imagine. I'm not sure what the physics or the calculus would be in that, but yeah, I would imagine it'd be quite a bit less.
But could you confirm what's shown on the plan exhibit that doesn't show up on the rendering here?
Can I ask what page you're on?
It's on the,
Am I going in the
where the
right?
elevation is, this, so there's the dark shape. Oh, no, on that other page you were on.
Oh, the one I was on?
No, go back the other way, sorry.
This one, this page.
So there's this object labeled 15 feet wide. Right there.
Right. Oh, right there.
That's not on the
Um,
rendering, I don't think.
Let me get my bearings on where the house is here. I think that's just part of the deck. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because all the rest of the yard is down here, I believe.
But it's. No,
I'm not certain.
no.
I think the darkest object is the deck.
No, the deck is this white part here.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Wood deck.
And then this is something, but then what is this? I mean, it's got steps.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Melissa. We'd have to ask them if we wanted to clarify.
Okay, I guess we'll have to bring the contractor, or the homeowner up here. We don't like to do this, but
Sorry, Debbie.
so point to the various things. Where's the house on here?
Is it right
That's the
here?
house, okay. And then the wood deck is above that in the drawing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then what is this between the,
Steps.
So
Right.
what you're looking at, this page is the engineer drawings that an engineer drew up. So the dark square, that's the existing deck. Well, I think what they were drawing up originally was a patio over there, but that's not what we're,
That's not in the scope.
yeah.
Okay.
and then the 15, the thing that's dimension 15 feet, is that patio as well?
That's,
The proposed patio that isn't gonna get
That's
built
not-
now?
yes.
Not this year, at least. Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
And
the
once
clarification.
again, thank you.
Yeah.
And once again, they could put that there.
Right.
They can
This
do
is
whatever
not
they
a va-
want.
Not a variance issue, okay. All right. Any other comments before we call the question? So we have a motion in favor of docket 2436. All
Mhm.
all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Would you please poll the board, Tom?
Mel Wilson,
Aye.
Randy Sprague,
Aye.
Jennifer Gates,
I,
Debbie Saulberg,
Aye.
and Tom Walsh, aye.
Your variance has been approved. Please see city staff during regular business hours for your next steps. Thank you. Tom, would you please read docket 2437?
Yes, docket 2437, an application by Laura A. Bentel of Armstrong Teasdale LLP on behalf of David and Susan Bentel, property owners of 11 Old Westbury Lane. The applicant is requesting a variance of 12.7 feet from the 50-foot south front yard setback established pursuant to section 53.043B2A, section 53.307B, and section 53.308 of the City of Webster Groves zoning code in order to build a new single-family dwelling 37.27 feet from the south front property line. The property is located within the A1 20,000 square foot resident district.
Mr. Bontrager?
And before we start testimony, I would ask that each of the exhibits that are included in the packet received and will be referenced during Dr. Wagner's testimony be included as part of the record.
Okay,
We would have Dr. Wagner testify.
thank you. Please go ahead.
Would you state your name for the record?
John Wagner,
And again, City of Webster Groves.
Director of Planning and Development,
Where do you-
administer the zoning code of the City of Webster Groves.
City, are you familiar with 11 Old Westbury Lane?
I am indeed.
Is that located within the city limits?
It is.
In which zoning? district?
It's in the A1 residential zoning district.
Doc. 7.
Yes.
What is the applicant requesting in that document?
They are requesting a variance in order to build, to maintain, and perhaps better in this case, a single-family home 37.27 feet from the southern property line.
And what is the required setback they're requesting variance from?
50 feet.
What are the current conditions?
The house is basically pretty much built to this point. It is not yet finished. I don't know what percent finished it would be, but the house is generally in place.
And is that after having come to the board previously?
Yes, last year they
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, thank you, Deb. I wasn't quite sure the exact date. The original setback was nearly 79 feet, so they got a variance at that point to bring the southern property line down closer to the property line to 50 feet.
And can you explain the reason why the original setback of 50 feet is now being requested from 37 feet?
Now, I can try. If I may, I'd like to go to the plan on here. Picture's worth 1,000 words. Yep, I think I got ahead of myself there. Here we go. Now, bear with me for just a moment till I find this. It really does tell the whole story. And I may have already gone past it. No, maybe not.
Would the thumbnails help? Could you turn the thumbnails on?
Is that one of these over here?
Well, it should be, but I don't see it.
Yeah. Keep going. Okay. You would think I would know this. Here we are. Okay, so here's the house as it is right now. The variance that we're looking at is over here. I'm going to blow this up a little bit so we're sure to see it. The house now, the corner of the house, closest part of the house, sits 37.27 feet to the property line, as indicated by the cursor. that was supposed to be 50 feet. And what we're pretty sure happened was it was just incorrectly staked out. Plans were submitted and the city approved plans as they were these plans, because these are the approved plans. What we believe happened was the setback was actually measured to the pavement. Because so we're going from here to here.
Hmm.
So from the pavement to the corner of the house is exactly 50 feet. So it would make sense that whoever staked it out and drew it up, simply made it from the pavement as opposed to the property line.
And can you explain the conditions? Is there anything, it's not, similar to every other street in Webster Groves for this street?
This is a private street.
Are there any public right of ways?
No,
So the setback is supposed to be measured from the lot line or a public right of way. Is that accurate?
correct.
And
Yeah,
there is no public, there's no public right of way, and so measurement would be instead from a lot line.
and the lot line is this darker line right there.
And you're saying that this has been submitted to the city
Submitted and approved.
and it's
Correct.
being built.
Yes.
Which code section applies to setbacks in the A1 district?
I'd have to look. Section 53, 043, 53, 307, and 53 dash .308.
And so that we're clear, there was a previous granted variance, but the required setback for that, what is the actual required setback by the code for that property?
The code, it was nearly 79 feet.
Request variance from that 79 feet to the 37 feet as opposed to the 50.
Well.
Well, the approved setback from the earlier variance was 50 feet.
I understand.
Yeah.
Getting a variance from what the code says, it's the code requires 79 feet.
Correct.
And they're asking for a variance down to 36.
Right.
Correct.
I've nothing further.
You say this was staked. Mr. Wagner, do you know who staked it?
I do
That
not.
wouldn't have been city staff that staked it. would it?
No, no.
Does anyone have any other questions for Mr. Wagner?
What's the typical process for relaying the decisions of the board to the permit review staff? Like, how do they know if a building permit should have the information from a variance with it?
That's a good question. I would just be sure to tell the plan reviewer, like I will certainly on the earlier petition that, hey, they got approval to build the 9-foot wall. Now, what happened in this case, I'm not certain. So, but typically I'll send an email out saying, hey, this has
Here's
been
that.
approved. So when you see it, that's what the case is. Although, I mean, we only have one plan reviewer, so we don't have enough staff to go out and make sure that things are staked where they're supposed to be. So it was staked incorrectly and approved
Human error.
incorrectly. Yeah,
I
that's pretty much
appreciate
what I'm
that.
saying. Yeah.
So to the best of your knowledge, because you might not have been here. Well, yeah, once they staked the house out, the city, and then they getting ready to build, put the foundation, so forth in, the city didn't go out
And measure?
and measure.
No. No,
This is-
and we typically don't. I mean, like I said, they go out to do the housing inspectors go out to do at the request of the home builder when they get to certain points
Certain point.
to do the inspections, but we don't have anybody to go out and
So
say,
you
yep,
think
it's in the
the
right spot.
mistake was made that they measured from the center of the street to get,
Edge of-
or the
Edge of the pavement.
Yeah,
There is no public.
and there is no public right of way. Yeah, there's no easement there. Yeah,
Well, there's an easement there, but it's not a public right of way.
yeah.
There's a right of way, but it's not dedicated
It's not dedicated
city,
for
but
you
Correct.
public use.
because it's a private street.
Anyone else have any other questions? Who's here tonight in favor of docket 2437? You are,
Laura Bentley.
now I don't swear attorneys in, or do I swear attorneys in?
The court of law. So the court of law should need to have a.
She's
I'm
already-
bound
she's
already.
Already under oath,
Bound
right.
against the identity issues.
Okay, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
thank you so much. And there are other individuals here as well. I'm going to say in advance that we have probably overdone this a bit, but that is signified by the fact of how important this is to the applicants here. So my name is Laura Bentley. I am with Armstrong Teasdale. I am a litigator. A portion of my practice is focused on real estate issues, which means that I was uniquely situated to assist my parents here, Susan and David, who are the owners of the subject property. This has been an exceedingly difficult and disappointing situation for them. So we appreciate your time tonight. So as Dr. Wagner has indicated, this is a request for an additional variance off of what was approved previously. I know that is a unique situation, and it is not one that we would like to be making right now, but I'd like to walk you through why we're here, what was submitted previously, where we are now, and why the additional variance is warranted here. So as Dr. Wagner mentioned, we were here 2 years ago, specifically my mother, Susan Bentley, and their architect, Robert Sroat, who is also here. They came before this group to ask for the 50-foot variance from the property line. And the basis for that, the hardship, is that this neighborhood, which I grew up on, is beautiful, but has a winding road that has a great deal of variance in the frontages. Very few homes are on a straight line. And that means that the hardship created for homeowners, if they are building something new or expanding, is that they have wide variation in terms of what they have to work with. For this particular piece of property, it is on a curve, and it is not situated in such a way that the home is in a straight line with the homes to the left and the right of it. And so when Robert Wagner, when Robert came before you all, Robert Sroat, the architect, and Susan Bentley came to talk to you about this, they were discussing how to best situate the house on the property would require a 50-foot variance in order to make sure that the plan for the house, the goal of which was to be completely consistent in feel and type with the rest of the neighborhood, would also accommodate the plans for the home, which is to allow for long-term living in place for not only Susan and David, but also my brother, Drew Bentley. I apologize. This is a little bit outside of my normal territory here. I recommend that most folks not try to represent their family members. This is an initial foray into this. I know, Peter, you get the privilege of working with your father. My parents are bankers. They always warned me not to go into banking. They just assumed I wouldn't go into law. But I've learned my lesson. I believe so have they. So they came here. They asked for the 50-foot variance. It was granted by the board. And at that time, the Bentleys had engaged Tegedoff Homes and THD Engineering to actually construct the house. And once the variance was granted, the architectural plans, which Susan and David Bentley approved, were then turned over to the building team to use to prepare the civil engineering plans and move forward with the build. As alluded to in the questions to Dr. Wagner, what occurred precisely, whether it was measuring from the roadway or something else that resulted in drastically different civil engineering plans from the plans prepared by the architect, is not something that we know today what occurred. It's not something we have frankly gotten a satisfactory answer to from the building team. That has resulted in months of delay for the Bentleys in having this home built, as well as significant hardships beyond just the build in trying to determine what the best path forward would be. Susan and David Bentley, I think it's very important to underscore, and I don't think you're going to hear from anyone else who would say otherwise, did not approve the change in the plans, did not know about the change in the plans, and certainly don't approve of that change now. However, They directed that the construction stop immediately upon learning about the fact that this property was being developed in a way not consistent with the prior variance. And that was contrary to what their contractor wanted, who wanted to proceed with the build. They wanted to identify the best approach forward to make sure that they were in compliance with the requirements of Webster Groves, as well as to honor the requirements of their neighborhood that they have lived in for 40 years and plan to do so into the future. The basis for the variance, again, remains the same today, even though we are now asking for an additional 12.37 feet in the variance. The hardships that were presented by the lot at the time remain today, and the actual setback amount from the property line that's being requested, as outlined in the application materials, is not actually substantially different from other homes in the neighborhood. As you'll see in the application materials, and this is submitted previously in 2024 as well, there are other homes that are set back from the property line, not the street, but the property line, to a similar degree. 24 Old Westbury Lane is set back by 24 feet. 26 Old Westbury Lane is set back 39.4 feet. 27 Old Westbury Lane is set back 36 feet. 37 Old Westbury Lane is set back 36.4 feet. The point is that this is not some dramatic departure from the feel of the neighborhood. And in fact, many of those homes that I've identified are some of the original 1930s Tudors that are in this neighborhood. And so it's not, these are all new builds that somehow have started to encroach upon the property lines. These are the original homes. And so although I think everyone here that is in favor of this application would much rather that this home have been situated in the way that was approved by the owners under a 50-foot variance, the fact is that this property, as Dr. Wagner mentioned, has been at least 40 to 50% built. There's been $1.2 million spent on this home so far. That's the current situation. So to the extent a variance is not granted today, the impact is going to be borne not by the contractor or the engineer or even the city who stamped the plans, because we do have a building permit to proceed with this project. In reliance on that building permit, this project continued. The hardship and the impact, if the additional variance is not granted, is going to be most felt by the Bentleys, not merely because they are likely facing multiple years of litigation with their contractor engineer, but there is a real time and money cost that they will also face to move or restart a home that has already been built to the tune of $1.2 million. I know I said at the beginning that we've probably overworked this a bit. In the application packet, you have the prior application from 2024. You have my additional letter in support of the application. You have a series of exhibits that consist of letters of support from neighbors, mostly emails that were sent to Dr. Wagner. I also have here today, so we're going to ask that Robert Strout, the architect who is involved, also say a few words about how the plan was developed, what the house looks like today, and what the intentions are. Because the intentions are that this house is still going to maintain all the same characteristics as previously presented. The only thing that is changing is how it is situated on the lot. Mm-hmm. In addition to Robert Strout, we have an individual named Mike Gartenberg, who the Bentleys have engaged as a third-party consultant, who is here to talk to you about his view of how the property is situated. He brings with him a wealth of experience, not only as an engineer who's been involved in projects far larger than this, but also on the municipal side, essentially in the roles of the individuals in this room. Mike Gartenberg was engaged not really just for the purpose of this appearance. He's been engaged by the Bentleys to serve as an owner's rep going forward, to review the work of the contractor, because what the Bentleys don't want is for any future issue with this house. They would like it to be able to move forward. They would like it to not be an unfinished project that is marring the neighborhood. They want to be in their new home and to frankly not have to deal with their build team anymore. In addition, we also have neighbors that are here in support. One in particular who has offered to say a few words. We're not going to put anybody else on the spot. But I do also have, I told Dr. Wagner that I would bring these, although there is an Exhibit 3 to the application packet that has the letters of support that we received before the application was submitted. Since the application was submitted, we did receive other communications, including the HOA trustees. They have written to say that they support the variance, and in addition to that, a fourth neighbor that is contiguous to the property submitted an unqualified support as well. And I believe there was even a fifth email from another neighbor, but what you have in your packet are all contiguous neighbors on the sides, across the street, and then what I have to provide to you as well, the neighbor directly behind the home. So I could distribute those as well right now. Ultimately, in the situation, only the minimum necessary variance is being requested. They're not asking to change the use. They're not asking to change any other characteristics of the home. They are asking for the minimum amount based on what was done by the civil engineering team that prepared these plans, and then submitted to the city for review. If I could just ask that for on that exhibit, which I believe is Exhibit 2, that's on the screen, Dr. Wagner, that is the plans. If you wouldn't mind scrolling over to the right to show where it was stamped. You can go up. I think it's over to the right a little bit.
Thank you.
And so I don't know that that's,
Oh, keep going.
that's.
There
it.
we
Thank you
are.
so much,
There we go.
Ms. Gates. So I think this is a critical piece. Right now, the Bentleys are attempting to work through with their contractor and the civil engineer to make sure that they are able to carry out this project correctly going forward. But in all candor, absent this building permit, this house doesn't get $1.2 million into the build. And I think I understood the questioning around the fact that the city doesn't go out there and confirm staking. But the fact remains is that on a timetable, there were at least 3 different instances where city representatives were out when it was being staked, when the foundation was being poured, at different critical junctures where it was clearly visible where this property was being built. And so I would just ask the Board of Adjustments consideration of this application to make sure that the Bentleys, who have attempted to act in good faith through this entire process, but through no fault of their own here, find themselves in an untenable situation, that they are not now subjected to years of additional hardship associated with this property. And that can be fixed by granting an additional variance of just 12.7 feet. And from that, I'd like to then step aside and allow first Robert Throat. Oh,
Can I ask a question?
Certainly,
I've
please.
actually got 3 questions if you don't mind.
absolutely.
So first and foremost, I'm hearing you, I think, I just want to clarify, none of this was done purposefully or intentionally or with the knowledge of the applicants trying to build this property where it is, right?
That is correct.
And you've submitted lots of letters of approving of the project. Has anybody objected to it on the street?
None that we've received a written communication from.
All right, and a little bit of an odd request, but I want you to know, and I want everyone else to know that based on what you've told, I am going to recommend to this board that they do approve it because of the city's previous. Now it's obviously their vote, not my vote, but I wanted you to know that. I wanted else to know that. I do have a slightly odd request though. If and I'd ask the board to consider this as well, and I wanted to get this out sooner rather than later. The request is for a setback variance. There's been a setback variance that's been granted. We are asking about code variances. The section of the code that deals with the setback talks about the setback starts from either the lot line or the public right of way. Would you have an objection to the setback code being changed so that 50 feet that already is approved would instead start at the roadway, and that would be the variance as opposed
To the
to
pavement, excuse me, is that what you mean?
at the edge of the pavement of the roadway?
I would say that on the fly here, my primary concern and the Bentley's primary concern is to make sure that this house conforms with city code and requirements.
And that corner is currently built, right? And
Correct.
so if the variance were the distance of space between the closest point of the pavement and that corner of the house, that number, and I realize you're concerned it may not be exactly 50 feet, and that's the concern.
Correct.
If it were that number, would that be acceptable to the applicants?
Well, I would say that, again, the precision there is critical because what the Bentleys did not want to have happen, and the reason why they stopped work immediately on the house, was to not get further into a position where they were building a non-conforming structure where their occupancy permit was at risk and then future abilities to transfer the home would be at risk. That is not an acceptable situation. And so I hear what you're saying in terms of, I guess, and this is perhaps a dialogue that it gets in the weeds a bit, but my concern would be whether or not there's authority to do so. And if you're asking for us to give an interpretation of that, we would likely need to consider that. But I think right now, it seems as if the cleanest approach would be to grant the variance. Now, I think that what I will tell you here,
As advertised.
as advertised, but I think
37.
the Bentleys are open to whatever path the board and the city has authority to grant, and which ensures that there is no cloud over this property going forward. That is what is of greatest interest in what we are requesting here.
And I will tell you that the intention of that would not be to create problems. And obviously, whatever that distance is, I'll be frank with you, you know, the concern is creating a precedent where somebody could come in and use this again in the future. As long as this was done with no ill will, which I truly believe it wasn't. That's why I'm asking those questions first. Nobody on the street cares. I want to make sure that current, as it currently sits, is conforming with the variance that's requested. It's the second variance that I'm trying to avoid a precedent for, which is why I'm making that just suggestion for a separate code. I'll assert that the board has that authority, right? I mean, it achieves the same goal that was published. It achieves the same goal that's being presented here tonight. And I wanted to ask, and so that you guys knew, obviously, before we went into discussion and you had no more opportunity to speak.
I would suppose that if there's a precedential issue, then I would say that both would carry with it its own possibility that you're taking an extraordinary step to vary code. So again, I think that if it's something that puts the house in the clear without question, then we're in favor of it.
Okay.
I don't know that as I stand here right now, that I see the distinction between what would carry with it additional precedent going forward. So my concern would remain that without getting the additional variance, that it would be potentially putting us in the position we have to come back here again to clear something up. I would say that if the plans had been drawn up in such a manner that said, we need a 37.27 setback from the property line. That's what this home that has additional living space that allows for accessibility for the residents that are planning to age in place in this location, that requires this situation on the lot, then in 2024, we would have been asking for a 37.27 variance from that setback. The hardship would be the same, the requirement for it to be situated that way the same. It strikes me that perhaps the civil engineer was trying to do that in a way that would allow for the best situation on the lot, to allow for that expanded footprint, given the goals of the home. I agree that one interpretation could be that it was just measured from the street line at 50 feet. I don't know that we know that as a certainty right now. I cannot tell you that, and frankly, the civil engineer can't tell us that, and hasn't been forthcoming on that issue. They haven't indicated, yes, that's what we did, that's where the error was. What we know is that the Bentleys approved the architectural plans, and those plans are actually the ones that are attached as a matter of contract to the building plans. So when we deviate here into the engineering plans that get us to 37.27 feet, my concern would be, I don't know with precision if that would do it. And it would seem the cleaner approach here would be to grant the additional variance because it conforms with the existing hardship as presented in 2024. but we are open to whatever,
As long as it achieves your goal.
as long as it achieves the goal of clearing the cloud over the property and allows them to move forward with the build.
So if, I'm not sure if this is the correct term, but that would essentially, your approach would give it a clean title. I'm not sure. If
Yes,
that's right.
the only reason I ask that is if it actually achieves the same goal that's being requested. I'm not asking you to consider something that's not going to achieve that goal. I'm asking if that, what you are seeking in the application is done and just in a variation of a different part of the code, is that acceptable to you?
If it achieves that goal on the plans as presented, I don't know that we have the precise dimensions
understand.
on
I understand.
that.
And I think I think we could always word things appropriately in the vote section. I'm not concerned about that.
We're having a lawyerly debate. This is probably
Zoom in on what you've got here.
this is probably a typical as a
I
question.
want to see those those distances. So it's that one corner of the house.
Right here.
Is the
Right.
only place where it's 37.27 feet, right?
Correct.
Everywhere else it's further.
Correct.
And if the screen porch can be closer than, so this spot where the cursor is the closest spot. That's 37.27 feet.
Mhm.
If I could ask, I understand your concern about the precedent. Is that the only reason why you are suggesting this alternate approach, or is there any other basis for it?
No, that is simply, I'm trying to avoid creating issues for us in the future while achieving the goal that you want to achieve.
So if do you have any further, I'd happy to answer any other questions that anybody might have.
Does anyone have any questions for this presenter at this time?
No.
Okay.
If I may, I would first like to then.
No, we're going to ask for other people who want to speak. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that the next that we would have in our sequence would be the architect, Robert Stroh, to be followed by Mike Gartenberg, and then just of course, anybody can speak, but after that,
So the property owners are not, other than you, are not going to speak.
if you would like to ask
No.
questions, obviously,
No.
but I'm here on their behalf.
Questions for them. Okay, all right.
One at a time.
Who else would like to speak in favor of docket 2437? Mr. Stroh, do you want to start? Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Good evening. My name's Robert Stroh, architect for the residents at 11 Old Westbury Lane. And I'm going to reiterate a lot of what Laura said, but in May of 2024, I appeared in front of this board to request a variance that would allow the home to be constructed with a 50-foot front yard setback rather than the deeper setback created by the averaging provisions of the zoning ordinance. As discussed at that time, the unique undulating alignment of Old Westbury Lane combined with the irregular geometry of the lot creates an unusually restrictive buildable area on this property. The averaging of the neighboring homes resulted in a calculated setback approaching 90 feet, which would push the building footprint far into the northeast portion of the lot and create an unbalanced relationship with the adjacent homes. The board recognized those constraints and approved the 50-foot setback, which allowed the home to be placed in a balanced location on the lot while maintaining appropriate spacing from neighboring properties. The home's construction is now well underway. However, the structure ultimately ended up closer to the street than the previously approved variance allowed. And as a result, the property is currently considered a legal non-conforming use with respect to the front yard setback. The result is that the home is currently considered, again, legally non-conforming. And I want to emphasize, as Laura did, for the record, that the homeowners had no role or knowledge in creating this condition. So rather than leaving the property in a permanent non-conforming condition, we're respectfully asking the board to extend the previously granted variance to match the existing location of the house. The underlying circumstances that supported the original variance haven't changed. The lot geometry and street configuration remain the same. The hardship created by the averaging setback requirement remains the same. The placement of the house continues to maintain compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. In other words, the rationale that supported the board's earlier decision still applies. As previously mentioned by Laura, there are several homes along Old Westbury Lane, which sit at setbacks of 50 feet or less, demonstrating that a reduced setback is consistent with the established pattern of development within the neighborhood. Granting this variance would allow the property to exist as a non-conforming use and remove the uncertainty associated with the current non-conforming designation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions to the extent that I can.
Looking at the plan we had for the 2024 application, the house isn't exactly the same, or it's, but basically it was just moved closer to the street, correct?
Correct.
And it's not significantly larger than what was presented in 2024.
No, and I believe it may even be a smaller footprint.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Strode?
Well, and again, I'll repeat, it's just really one corner of the house that's in question, right?
That's correct.
It's one corner of the house.
I guess my only question is, where's the disconnect? How did it come from 50 to 37 as you design it?
Yeah, so I can only speak to the accuracy of the documents that we provided and we sealed, which all exhibited the 50-foot setback. So, and we just haven't been able to get a reasonable explanation for the adjustment in the setback.
Fair enough.
Any other questions for Mr. Strode? Okay. Who else is here is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of docket 2437? Any of the owners want to speak?
We also have Mike Hartenberg.
Okay.
That's going to speak on behalf of the owners as well.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
And you are?
My name is Michael Gartenberg.
Okay, thank you.
And as was made reference by Ms. Bentley, I was originally engaged by the Bentleys to serve as their owner's representative as this project moves forward in an attempt to keep things like this from happening in the future. But in addition to that, I bring some experience relative to the zoning and the building aspects of this. In the 1980s, I served as the building commissioner, zoning administrator, city engineer, and public works director for the city of Crestwood, right down the road. And then over the years, I've been engaged as a consultant to run those departments for various cities, including the cities of Frontenac, Olivet, Ladue, and engaged by I'm sorry, either Des Peres or Town and Country. I think it was Des Peres to actually write some zoning code for them relative to new things that were changing. So I was asked to really kind of assess this very unique situation. And I'm going to look at my notes here a little bit because I don't want to be redundant relative to the other things that are said. The situation certainly is well, the current situation and consideration of the zoning variance is obviously unique by virtue of the circumstances that the home has been substantially constructed in a location other than that in which it was intended. And I have to tell you that in the 41 years that I've served cities, and I go back and think about this is only the third such instance that I've ever encountered. But this one is a little bit different from the other two. In the other two instances, the plans approved by the building department were in accordance with the intended setback locations, and the construction discrepancies were quickly identified early during the footing and foundation inspections. It's always been my practice that I would direct my inspectors to go out and look and make sure it appears to be in the right location. And if it's not, let's prove it up. So this one has gone on quite a bit further and not caught early. The Bentleys requested that I review the City of Webster Grove zoning regs, the permitting practices and the inspection practices as they may pertain to this situation. And I did do that. And my review of the city's code of ordinances reveals that the zoning code speaks to this scenario in a few various ways. And I want to go ahead and cite those. There's a section in the A1 district, subsection B2C, where neither paragraphs A or B, well, it defines the method by which setbacks are supposed to be established. And the idea of averaging where the adjacent properties certainly is on the list of how that can be done. But the next step from that, in the event that that can't be achieved, is to consider it to be a 30-foot setback. So the idea of building this home 37 feet from the property line is not unheard of. It's within the realm of what the city considers to be appropriate in that district for various other properties. So there's rationale to using this 37.27 feet. Code section 53.307 deals with jurisdiction, and just to repeat what I'm sure you all are aware, but really to get it into the record as well. The board shall have the following powers. Subsection A, powers relative to errors. To hear and decide appeals, whereas alleged there is an error in any order, requirement, decision, or determination made by the Director of Planning and Development in the enforcement of this code. So there were some errors through this process, and this is obviously in part an attempt to remedy those situations, that situation. Code section 53.307B addresses variances for properties with exceptional shapes, which would result in peculiar or exceptional practical difficulties. Well, there's been a lot of dialogue about the unique shape and the unique topography there, so I won't go further. Code section 53.309 establishes the finding of facts, and I think this is extremely important and relevant. And it says, in considering all appeals under this zoning code, the board shall, before making any findings in the specific case, first determine that the proposed change will not constitute a change in the district map and will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to an adjacent property, or increase the congestion in public streets, or increase the danger of fire, or materially diminish or impair established property values within the surrounding area, or in any other respect impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, and welfare of the city. And I'm of the opinion that none of those detrimental effects would occur here. The current placement, as has been discussed, was made based on approved plans by the city, and the construction was authorized and approved by repeated inspections. A soil inspection, footings, foundations, and framing were all performed by the city prior to that. And you know, the last point that I want to establish is the varying setbacks throughout the neighborhood, which I guess has already been established, but you know, the purpose of setbacks, of uniform setbacks, can be to create a sense of uniformity where houses sit relative to the street. In this neighborhood, it was intentionally designed and built otherwise. It's intended for them to be in varying places and to not be all lined up. And the need for the exactness of the setbacks is quite different in this neighborhood than I think it is most other in the city of Webster Groves. Are there any questions that you have of me?
I don't think so.
I believe so.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? who'd like to speak in favor of docket 2437?
If I could just answer the question that was presented to me earlier.
You need to come up to the podium.
Normally I'd ask to approach, but that would be, so the question that was asked by the city attorney regarding an alternate fix. And I got some additional information that would inform on that. This is a private roadway. There are currently plans that could either widen or add curbs to this. It is not a fixed location. And so that further underscores the concern that that would not be a satisfactory resolution here because you're going to jeopardize whether or not it toggles in and out of conformance. And so the variance to the right of way that has been requested is, I think, the most clear-cut way to ensure that this home does not somehow become problematic in the future with respect to how it's zoned. So I think that's the answer there. Is there any other questions on that point? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of docket 2437? Please come forward. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And then you need to state your name so we know who you are.
yes, I'm Tracy Handel. I am the Bentley's neighbors. I'm
We
across,
received a
I'm at
letter,
number
you're
15.
correct.
Say that again?
We received a letter from.
Yes, I sent a letter to you guys. As everybody has said, the topography of the street is unique, to say the least. Every one of us, if we are going to build, we have to have an easement at some point. We had to have, I was here probably 7 years ago trying to get one. Because the street is a winding street and the land and where the house is situated is very different for each house. Each house is very different. And that leads to a beautiful neighborhood. It lends itself to having a unique, beautiful, secluded neighborhood that looks like a park. So that being said, the house that was there prior to the Bentley's building this one was original to the neighborhood. And Chris and I have been there for 20 years, and this is the first time we've had life over in that area. We're the neighbors directly to the west. So we are on this side of the house that's closest to the street. It's what we like is it's nice to see this big, beautiful house. It doesn't ruin our sight lines. It doesn't take away from our property value. It adds to our property value. And the Bentleys have had many projects in their house, and they have never done it halfway. When they do something, they do it beautifully. And what they do enhances our street. So I'm all for this. It's beautiful. Is it closer to the street? It's a little closer to the street. Did I notice? No, I didn't notice until somebody said at a meeting, hey, that's too close to the street. So it was a mistake, obviously, and it's beautiful. So it's one of those happy little mistakes that we have. Do you guys have questions?
Anyone have any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of docket 2437? Is there anyone online who'd like to speak? No one's raising their hand.
There is not.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition or with concern for docket 2437? Is there anyone online who'd like to speak in opposition to docket 2437?
There is not.
Hearing none and seeing none. Do you want to make any more comments?
None at this time. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing for docket 2437?
I so move.
I'll second.
All
second.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So do we have a motion regarding docket 2437 so we can start discussion?
I move approval of docket 2437.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Bontrager, did you want to make some comments? It sounds like, you know, the homeowners, we possibly could word it, you know, but it would probably make the homeowners a little uncomfortable if we would try to make some exception for widening or modifying the location of it.
I will tell you that we've done everything we can to try to avoid having another hearing in front of you, and including some outlandish thoughts. And as you can see, they're continuing into the meeting. So that's simply doing what I can to try to, you know, prevent precedent that we may have to deal with in the future that we don't prefer. But as I stated earlier, you know, given the circumstances here, and given the city's role in approving the plans, I would urge you to consider approving.
Do we need to word the motion differently? Do we need to say a 37.27 feet in lieu of what the code would require? Or
So the reality of the situation is that this variance is effectively destroying the previous variance, right? So I would ask you to make sure that it is a variance, and we can make it to that distance, right? But we're not making it a variance of the previously granted 50 feet, right? It's a variance of what the code says, which requires, I know it was in here, roughly 79 feet. We need to make sure that we're clear on that.
And I think there's some rationale in, you know, something like this happened, not in the error sense, but something being discovered in the field that an applicant may come back to ask for, you know, more of a variance than original. So I think that I feel secure that the board can always consider each request on its merits, even regardless of something like this.
I agree with you.
Today.
Yeah.
Well, I do to some extent. I think there are the three Ps here. There's a procedure, and I think the procedure has been pretty well documented, how we did this. There have been some errors made. Very difficult to find out the first error. Very few. It's a compilation of some mistakes with no malice. There have been some errors here. Then it's precedent. And precedent is really important because we've had cases here where buildings have been built in violation of what was approved, and they've been torn down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is the case. I think the precedent here is governed by the fact that the procedures that were followed just didn't work like it could have, but we've ended up at this point through no malice, through no intent. And I think then the practice becomes, we can deal with this. This is a unique scenario. I believe we can make it a unique scenario, and it doesn't have to apply across the board to everyone who builds their building in the wrong place.
And I would note as well that because we are effectively destroying the previous variance, it's the same consideration, right? So this board did decide back in 2024 that a variance to a 50-foot setback was appropriate given the topography and the layout and the shape of this property. That's the same thing we're determining in this hearing, right? Is the shape of this property, is the layout, is the qualities of the other properties on the street, those all create a hardship to this property. And so I agree that it is specific to this property. It's not something that will necessarily carry over to other properties. Right. And I'd like to make sure
I'd like to make that point for the record. I think this is a unique scenario.
Yeah, and as we're considering the variance as presented to us, you just summed up the reasons why we approved the first variance, and those would apply to this variance.
Mm-hmm.
Unique, odd-shaped lot, topography, the setbacks of the other houses, they vary. The curved street, all of those things, I'm sure we probably discussed. But we're discussing them now pertaining to this. At least that's what I would do. I just want to be clear. That's the way I see.
Mm-hmm.
I see this, and I echo what Randy said. In fact, we have an error made, and wasn't made in math.
That's not the hardship.
Yeah.
No,
It's not a hardship.
that's not the.
I go back to my other hardships.
The hardship remains. The original hardship.
The original hardship.
I agree. If the curve of the street was consistent like the eastern side, there'd be no issue, but this is where it seems to curve the sharpest.
Well, and it's a very irregular shaped lot.
Right.
Right, if it were regular,
Right.
it wouldn't be an issue.
So when you talk about precedent, are you meaning the precedent that approving this, like, so if the city has some error of omission in the future, we're bound to grant variances, or are you saying it's a precedent in this neighborhood?
No, my concern is citywide, right? If it,
Right.
Randy's right that we've had people who have built and it's been non-conforming to what was granted here. And what I don't want to see is an influx of applications that are reapplications for additional variances because, oops, we built this one wrong. That's why I asked the question specific here, did the property owners know? Was there any intent here? Which again, I don't believe there was. I think you guys have picked up on that as well. And that's what I've been attempting to avoid is placing you in the situation where you have to be the judge of character for each one of those, whether that person is telling the
But
truth.
since we
Right.
have found hardships related to the lot and the street layout,
Mhm.
and
Nothing's changed.
That's,
nothing's changed.
Right. The bottom line is that had they come in front of us in 2024 and asked for a variance down to 37 feet, that's what the decision is here, right? I mean,
Right.
if the hardship would have allowed it at that time, then it's still the same consideration today.
I agree.
Do we need to modify? I mean, our motion was to approve docket 2437, which is to build a new single-family dwelling 37.27 feet from the south front property line. Does that need to be modified?
No, that language is fine.
Okay. Does anyone else want to make any more comments on docket 2437 before we call the question?
So how does that get worded? Are you making variance on? Oh, sorry, not microphone on, sorry. So then how does that,
Do you have that? Do you have that, please?
how does the variance wording work?
Okay. Do you have that original setback number?
It was, I mean, the
My
original.
apologies, I should know that.
Was,
In lieu of
yeah.
Like, do I understand correctly that this is,
78.59.
5.9.
Thank you.
So it'd be 37.27 in lieu of 78.59.
that's how I thought of it, but is that correct?
Hold on.
Okay.
Which is 50 minus 12.73. And I would just say that I think it's okay to be over prepared for the board. Property rights are serious, so I don't begrudge you that.
Did you find it?
All right, so what we're looking for is a motion to approve a variance on docket 2437, which at 11 Old Westbury Lane from a required setback of 79.59 feet, a variance of 41.32 feet to allow a building to be built 37.27 feet from the property line.
So how do we do that? The
Someone-
maker of the.
Someone needs to say, so moved.
So moved.
I'll second.
Because I made the original motion, so
Would
moved,
we need to dispose of the first motion?
so moved.
So the first one, or can this be a substitute?
We can amend it. We'll amend it
Yeah,
with that language,
That was my motion. I accept the amendment to my motion.
and we'll need a second.
I'll second that.
All right.
So now the motion is for a variance of what, 40?
It's 40.
41.32 feet.
The original setback.
Three.
To
Right.
37.27.
Right.
From the.
Okay. So the
me
motion
make sure
is to,
Let's,
I'm sorry.
you talk to the attorney. I'm talking to the attorney.
She wants
but-
to talk to you, I don't know.
I apologize. I don't know that, I don't have a calculator on me right now, so I'm not entirely sure. It was 78.59 previously.
So the variation from the code requirement is
Right.
41.32.
So that,
You can understand our concern, so.
41.32 feet, variance from the original 78.59 and to be requested 37.2.
which would yield the 37.
And to make sure the motion said that, there's That's the calculator said, there's no math problem, and and if there were, we could correct.
Right.
Straight.
Right. Thank you.
All right, so does everyone understand the motion?
Yes.
We're going from the original code requirement based on the average of,
Right.
the houses on either side to the 37.27 feet that that closest corner is.
That's what the setback
Yes.
would be.
That's what the setback would be.
Yep, understood.
Are we ready for the question?
Call the question.
All in favor of docket 2437, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Would you please poll the board?
Jennifer Gates,
Aye.
Randy Sprague.
Aye.
Mel Wilson.
Aye.
Debbie Saulberg.
Aye.
Tom Walsh, aye.
Your variance has been approved. Please see city staff during regular business hours for your next steps. Thank you very much. And thank you all for coming and showing your neighborhood support. Is there any other business before the board?
No.
Motion,
And then
okay.
next week, Thursday, April 9th. So if you cannot attend that meeting, would you please let Mr. Wagner know as soon as possible? And I have a motion to.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.